Sweet 16 Number 1 Connecticut vs. Number 5 Duke. The Blue Devils have managed to fly under the radar through the first two rounds, handling Georgia on the road this Monday with surprising ease. But Duke has also struggled against the very best of the best this year, dropping contests to Notre Dame, Louisville and South Carolina, all of whom also lost to Connecticut. The pick: Connecticut. Number 2 South Carolina vs. Number 11 Buffalo. Gamecock fans may have thought they were virtually assured a matchup against Florida State, but the Bulls shocked the nation with a dominant second half in Tallahassee, knocking off the Seminoles. Don't be fooled by the low seed. Buffalo is 29-6 and playing inspired basketball behind leading scorer Sierra Dillard, a junior guard. Defensively, however, the Bulls are a little lacking, especially in size. The pick: South Carolina. Elite 8 Number 1 Connecticut vs. Number 2 South Carolina. Sorry, USC fans, but as anyone who watched the Feb. 1 contest between these teams can attest, the Huskies are not just the best squad in the country, but one of the best Gino Auriemma has coached in the last decade. Something would have had to drastically changed for me to pick South Carolina in this one, but while UConn has crushed its first 2 NCAA opponents, the Gamecocks have looked a tad sluggish. The pick: Connecticut. Spokane Region Sweet 16 Number 1 Notre Dame vs. Number 4 Texas A. But the fact that they've made it this far is impressive, given that 4 players have gone down with torn ACLs and coach Muffet McGraw has been forced to insert walk-ons into the rotation. That being said, I expect Carter to get into a shootout with ND's Eric Obiwale in an offensive outburst, with Notre Dame getting the slight edge thanks to, yes, Shepherd. The pick: Notre Dame. No. 2 Oregon vs. Number 11 Central Michigan. The other big surprise of the tournament, Central Michigan was just as dominant in the second round as its fellow MAC member Buffalo, taking out Ohio State and star Kelsey Mitchell on their home court. The Chippewas are a run-and team that jacks up three-pointers at one of the leading clips in the country. Unfortunately, so does Oregon, led by the outstanding sophomore Sabrina Ionescu, already the NCAA's triple-double leader. The Ducks are right next to the Chips in terms of offense and three-point shooting, and their defensive stats are much better against a much tougher schedule. The pick: Oregon. Elite 8 No. 2 Oregon defeats Number 1 Notre Dame. Both teams have faced brutal schedules this season and emerged with essentially identical records. But Oregon has a slight edge in depth and doesn't have to travel across the country, so I'll take the Ducks advancing to their first ever Final Four. This may have been a situation where Notre Dame would have been better served by a lower seed in Kansas City or Lexington. The pick: Oregon. Lexington Region Sweet 16 No. 1 Louisville vs. Number 4 Stanford. Stanford is another team that has accomplished a lot just by making it this far. The Cardinals started off the season with a 6-6 record and a lot of inexperience, but they closed on an 18-4 run and took out some good teams along the way. The Cardinals, however, are close to home and have one of the game's elite scorers in Asia Dur. Never underestimate Stanford in March, though. The pick: Stanford. No. 2 Baylor vs. 6 Oregon State. The NCAA selection committee never seemed to like Baylor, punishing the Bears for their weak strength of schedule despite the fact that they only lost once, on the road to highly ranked UCLA with their head coach missing due to family reasons. Oregon State also got a bad draw, falling to a number 6 seed despite a 23-7 record with wins over Oregon, UCLA and USC. The Beavers made Tennessee pay, winning on the road and denying the Lady Vols a Sweet 16 appearance in back-to-back years. The pick: Baylor. Elite 8 Number 2 Baylor vs. Number 4 Stanford. Once again, Baylor is 33-1 and has taken down fellow 2 seed Texas 3 times this season. The Bears are somehow underrated as a 2 seed and are the current favorites of 538 to face UConn in the title game. Besides, Kim Mulkey's squad have already blown out Stanford once this year, 81-57. The pick: Baylor. Kansas City Region Sweet 16 Number 1 Mississippi State vs. Number 4 North Carolina State. NC State was a late-charging team that swooped in at the last moment to claim a top 4 seed and host site with a strong run in the ACC tourney, but the Wolfpack don't have much in the way of signature wins and took down a slumping Maryland to make it this far. Mississippi State, meanwhile, has bounced back from its SEC title loss to trounce a tough Oklahoma State squad in the second round, and the Bulldogs look to be rounding into form. The pick: Mississippi State. Number 2 Texas vs. Number 3 UCLA. UCLA has one of the most talented senior combos in the country with forward Monique Billings and guard Jordan Canada, but the Bruins have yet to be really tested this NCAA tournament. That will change against a Texas squad that came closer than anyone this year to knocking off UConn. The Longhorns handled a feisty Arizona State in the second round with ease, but something in my gut is telling me they'll struggle against elite competition. The pick, UCLA Elite 8. Number 1 Mississippi State vs. Number 3 UCLA. Before South Carolina defeated MSU in the conference tournament, the Bulldogs were shaping up to be a regular team of destiny that could go undefeated and meet UConn in the title game. The loss certainly punctured that air of inevitability, but the Bulldogs are still a senior-laden team, and one loss aside, they've seemed pretty darn close to perfect all year. The pick, UCLA.